The Democrats laid siege to the U.S. Department of Education today. It was a group of Congress people, male and female, who were stopped at the door by an unarmed guard. And they were squawking and cackling and jumping up and down and protesting. And we're Congress people. If they said that once, they said it 100 times. And that poor guy he was very polite. He stood there with his arms folded and just, took the abuse. Why are they doing this? It's their tired playbook, right? It's the same old nonsense that they've done for ever since Trump was in office the first time, and now again they're starting back up with the stupidity. This thing today reminds me of the Chuck Schumer chant nonsense the other day when they were protesting Elon Musk. All of this is part of their plan. They don't have anything to offer the American people. And so what they do is this crazy, photo op. But ostensibly, they wanted to have a meeting with the acting Secretary of Education. Now, what purpose would that serve? The acting Secretary of Education is a placeholder. So this was all staged. It was all done, but they thought they would storm in and cause a commotion inside the Department of Ed, but instead they got outsmarted and they got stopped at the door. And it's really embarrassing for them. It is so beneath Congress people to act this way and to squawk and carry on the way that they're doing. But they have nothing else. What do they have? What agenda do they have? This supposedly is about President Trump's plan to do away with the Department of Education and return the power to the states along with funding. Now, these swamp creatures in the Department of Education have managed to spend over $1 billion with a B for DEI programs. Yet math and reading scores have dropped precipitously at both the 4th grade and 8th grade levels since 2019. So what good is the Department of Education doing? None. And I'm a lawyer, as I probably have mentioned several times, but the 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution reserves those powers not specifically reserved to the U.S. government. It sends it back to the states and the people. The word education does not appear in the Constitution anywhere. And so my position has always been that the Department of Education has always been unconstitutional, that it's taking power away from the states. And there's a push, among some educrats to create a national curriculum. Well, if the National Assessment of Education Progress is any indicator, we certainly don't need that. And states are more capable of handling local education. They know the people. They're closer to the kids. They know the parents. And so at the state level, it makes a lot more sense than at the national level. But a lot of people are afraid about the funding. And the unions are afraid of losing their power and their inside influence in the Department of Education. Take a look at this clip from this morning, and you'll find it very entertaining. And if you would, share your thoughts about it in the comments.
I don't know if you can see this, but let me describe something that's happening live to you right now. There are about a dozen lawmakers, Democrats, attempting to get a meeting with the acting education secretary. This comes as President Trump has said the Department of Education might be something where Secretary McMahon, if she's confirmed, would get herself out of a job. And also you had the former Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, writing yesterday in the Free Press. She thinks the Department of Education should be eliminated. This is one of those things where they're probably not going to get access to this building, but the Democrats are flummoxed as to how to deal with this, Shannon.
Yeah, Dana, I think you're right. We see them showing up and protesting outside of a number of buildings, or actually, as we saw on Capitol Hill yesterday, I think it was, actually forcing themselves and their way into a meeting that they wanted to be a part of. And I think right now they feel like chaos is the strategy. I think that was the line that was in Playbook maybe this morning, talking about the fact that they know that they're going to be overwhelmed with all of these actions, all the things that they, are trying to get a hold of. They're showing up. We've seen protests. We've seen we're at war. We've seen them say, take this to the streets. It does feel like the Democrats are kind of back on their heels trying to get control of the messaging, much less the substance of all these different things that are happening, Dana.
And I think the one congressman I can make out there is taking the photograph right now. I believe that's Maxwell Frost, and they're talking to a security guard. So let me just turn it back over to Sandra to ask you another question as we watch these Democrats who, I guess it's performative art in a way, Sandra, to try to make a point.
Absolutely. You notice the camera's up, and you're noting Maxwell Frost, the congressman from Florida, in the picture there. Apparently, this is a security guard. But Shannon, obviously, this is just further signs of what is to come. I spoke with Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, yesterday, and asked her about the president's intentions with the Department of Education. They're not detailing exactly where they're going with this, but there has been a lot of talk about dismantling it altogether or reworking it, but we just don't know, and that uncertainty leads to a lot of this.
It does. And conservatives have been talking about this for a long time, that they feel like states are much better equipped to handle the education system. It's closer to the parents, it's closer to the people that are directly involved, the students as well. So it's one of those agencies that has been targeted by conservatives to say this doesn't need to be this federal behemoth that has all of this money, when states and localities and local school districts know much more about what their students need. They are much more accountable to the parents who show up at these meetings, which we've seen the last few years, to demand answers and accountability for their kids. So not surprising that there would be this conversation about taking this away from the federal level and sending it back to local and state. But I think ideally for conservatives, they want it as local as possible. And that means a threat to the federal agency that now exists.
Shannon, let's try to see if we can hear anything going on.
On your own behalf, were you told to come out here and block members of Congress?
Do they know that we are here? Max, ask the question again. That's the important.
Were you told, are you making this decision to stand in front of this door on your own behalf, on behalf of the Department of Education, or were you told to come out here and block members of Congress from going to the desk?
I'm doing my job.
So everybody's
What is that?
We're doing our jobs.
We're trying to save your job.
It's a non-responsive.
Show them your ID. Were you told to stand here, or did you decide to stand here and block members of Congress from entering the Department of Education?
to federal buildings.
We're allowed in there.
So a private security contractor
Do you know who members of Congress are?
members of
We're all
Congress.
members of Congress.
Maybe he doesn't understand. Do you
A private
understand who
security
members of Congress
contractor
are?
is making the decision to block members of Congress from a public access entrance.
I don't think he knows.
You have the
what
authority as a
Congress
private
is
security
or what we did.
contractor to block members of Congress. That has been knighted and granted to you.
You have to at least let us go to the desk.
Yeah.
Too many guns out.
As many
Oh
decorations you
my,
want.
look at
Nothing's going
that.
to change.
Who told you to do this? Open the door.
I see your name.
So do you understand who members of Congress
I
are?
got it, yeah.
And you don't care. Who are we then?
I got the job to do.
You don't care. We have a job to do.
We're not dangerous people. We're not, I don't know, security.
There are no thieves and thugs out here. We're members of Congress. We're parents. We're teachers.
Each of us.
There's our ID, right there.
We were elected to do this.
This is our job.
This is our job. We're doing our job.
Oh, wow.
You're securing this building against who?
Members of Congress.
Who is the Congress? Who are you
The people.
protecting in
Against
this?
members of the people's
So
house
this is the
represent the
beginning of
people.
full transparency of this administration.
That's right.
The administration that talked about they're going to open the doors to all of these things and show the American public what is going on. They won't even open the door to this building to
Go to the
members of
visitor's
Congress.
desk.
We are not posing any threat here. No, we are not dangerous people. We have not done
won't even
anything.
let us
We're
talk to
trying
the
to
Department of
request
Education.
a meeting, and they have a private security contractor who on his own is making decisions on behalf of the Department of Education.
So Congressman Hayes, what you're saying is they're not, they allow billionaires and his minions to come in
I don't
to
know
this
who
building.
he is. I don't know who he is, but I know who I am. And I'm a member of Congress with oversight responsibilities trying to request a meeting, and a private security contractor is not allowing me to enter the building.
They allow billionaires to go into this building, but not the people's representatives. They allow billionaires and their cronies to go in, but not, there's a lack of transparency here. The members of Congress, the people's representatives are not allowed in. This is not transparent.
They're locking our kids out. Well, not only are they not letting us in, now they've called the Department of Homeland Security. We are members of Congress here to talk with the Department of Education, and they're treating us.
The kids deserve to have us go in and fight for them.
This is appalling.
Children of this country deserve that battle.
This is a public institution. This is not Russia. Let the camera see him. Let the camera see him. This man here. Contractor.
We are members of Congress.
Come in.
They're blocking us.
I want you to see this man here, who is a federal employee. He told us.
No, he's not.
Are you a federal employee?
No.
Huh?
Yes.
No, he said he's a federal employee. We pay him. We raise money to make sure that we have a Department of Education. Everybody that's hired at the Department of Education are here because we pay for them to be here. He's standing here today, blocking the door, and he can't give us a good reason why he's blocking this door.
Make sure they see right here, all access entrance.
Well, and I think it should be clear to parents in the United States, if you want to advocate on behalf of your children, you are not allowed to come into this building where you pay taxes. Parents who have children who are disabled, access is being blocked. You voted for members of Congress to advocate on behalf of your children, children with disabilities, for young women who have been victims of sexual assault in our classrooms, on our school grounds. Members of OCR are fighting for your children. We are not allowed in the building to talk to them. We are not allowed to advocate on behalf of America's children. America, we have a problem.
Now, everybody stand back.
All right, so this is the Department of Education. You've got members of Congress from the Democratic side of the aisle trying to get in the building. You have a security guard who never wanted to be on television today, basically doing his job and denying them access. It is interesting that Fox News is the only one covering this live, and apparently this is what the Democrats want, right? They want to be on television. That's Maxine Waters complaining, Sandra, that they can't get in the building. And then you had other members of Congress saying that if you want to get in and fight for your children, you're not allowed. But we had some news this week that would make it sound like that's a little bit too late, guys.
Our nation's report card was shocking. The report card showed 7 out of 10 fourth graders are not proficient readers, Dana, a number that has worsened since the last report card in 2022. Worse, the numbers haven't improved in 3 decades. We're seeing the same thing for the middle schoolers at the 8th grade level. Less than a third of American students enter high school with the reading and comprehension skills that they need at that point in their lives. I mean, you talk about not getting access to the building, you're hearing from these folks, to go advocate for the kids. Well, what have they done lately, right? That report card has not improved. In fact, our nation's report card has worsened. There's a huge problem at the public school with the public school system in this country, and it has been failing our nation's children.
Shannon Breen, let's bring you in as Maxine Waters continues to berate the security guard.
Yeah, and listen, this is a great optic for Democrats who will want to use this and go out. You're going to see this stuff everywhere, probably. They've already got their teams rolling on it. And certainly this is what you do in Washington. There's the messaging and the optics of this, too. But I would point back to how many GOP lawmakers just earlier this week, Senator Joni Ernst said every time she tried to get answers from USAID, and I'm not saying she showed up physically, she may have, but every time that members of Congress try to get information from a federal agency, there can be an issue. She talked about that. Talked to Senator Chuck Grassley, who has sent subpoenas and requests for information all over to federal agencies, to the DOJ, to all kinds of places, only to be told basically talk to the hand and not get the information. So this is a physical showing up and not getting to where you want to go, but you may get the optics that you want. But Republican members on the Hill will tell you many, many times they've tried to get information from federal agencies, maybe not in a physical sense, but very much in a way that they claim they also have access to information and have been told, no, you're not getting it, or met with silence.
Wow. Yeah, we put the report card on the screen. You see the red arrows. That is the decline in the performance of our nation's children in math and reading in grades 4 and 8. But you obviously are looking at Democrats as part of this agenda that has been laid out, trying to obstruct. We don't know what the exact plans are, right, Shannon? The White House has still not been clear where they're going to go with this, but they are certainly highlighting this as a serious problem in this country. We don't know exactly what is happening here. We're not told exactly why this person's not letting them into the building, but certainly he said, we heard him say a moment ago, he's doing his job, so he's been asked to do this. But Shannon, maybe we'll get some clarity soon on this.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to me if they did go into the building, what would happen next? I mean, I think that they want to make a protest. They want to ask questions about what's going to happen, but I'm not sure what would be accomplished if they did go inside. There's not a confirmed Department of Education secretary. As you said, we don't know what the policy is going to be moving forward, but we know there's serious questions about how the department is functioning, what it's been focusing on, where it's been spending its money, and what that says in contrast to how states and localities may be better equipped to handle it. At least that's the argument from conservatives.